In this video, we'll learn to use the Text on a Path tool that'll allow you to create interesting baselines for your lettering. So to get started, you would click on the Text tool. And from the options that come available, it's the one that says Path that you would choose. And so as always, your cursor will have a letter A on it, and essentially you're meant to click to tell the software where to place that text, and then a window opens up where you can choose from a series of text paths. And you may notice that there are some in my program that aren't in yours, and that is because you have the ability to create and save and your own text paths as you sort of get into it. But for example, I'll just choose this text path number 14, and now it puts the words my text on a path. And of course you can change that to be kind of whatever you want. Floriani Fusion, and click apply. And oh look, it looks like I forgot the space in between, and so I'll just click at that spot and click enter, or space I mean, and click apply. And so essentially if I just sort of move over top of the text until I see the hand, I know that I can pick it up and I can move it to any location in my workspace. And notice now that the text is along the baseline that we selected, and it's going to fit as much text as you put along that kind of baseline is how it's going to work. And so as it goes past the path, it just kind of like sort of gradually comes off the other side. And you can change the baseline if you want after you've made it. So while you're in this edit text mode, which is the same as always, the difference between clicking on the select tool when you can select your text and interact with the text in that way, or when you right click and go back to the edit text mode where you have things like the little blue handles. Now notice when you put text along a path that all the little blue handles are kind of like along that path, and you can easily decide where along that path that text should be. Well, so if you want to interact with the path, you could right click. And you have two options. You have the option to edit the baseline or to go back to the text paths and choose another one. So if I say, text paths, then I can come back to the different baselines and, try a different baseline. And now it's going to put that Floriani Fusion all along that sort of interesting spiral line that was selected. And if I right click and go text paths, we could try a different path. And so each one of these will create kind of a different path baseline. And then you can interact with where the letters will fit along that baseline with the handles that are assigned to each letter like this. And so that's kind of how it works. If you right click and you choose edit baseline, it will take away the letter handles and give you handles that make the baseline. So for example, if you needed your baseline to be kind of extra specially curvy, you could make the baseline go like that. And now it won't update the letters until I right click. And right click is sort of like says, I'm done editing the baseline and go ahead and put the letters on it. And so now I've got a very unique baseline, and it gets kind of jumbly. The letters have a hard time deciding how to sort of fit along that line, but you could spread them along. So we just have to find the handle for this letter N here and kind of move them apart until they get, so that they aren't over top of each other. They're at that sort of specific spot like that. And so this is the idea with the handles and the baseline, is that you can kind of interact with it. And so once again, if you right click, you can choose a new path by clicking on text paths and then just select one of them. And once you have a path selected, you can interact with that text path by right clicking and going to edit baseline. And so now I have kind of a more simple baseline that I could interact with. And, as you can see, you can change the kind of baseline. And then when you're done, you right click to update that baseline. Now, if you really love this baseline and you want to use it again, then you can choose the right click where you have the ability to export the line. And it knows right where to save it so that it goes with all the other line frames. And you could call this one the today frame or give it any name that you want to, but that has now been saved. And so at any time we would be able to go back into the text. Maybe if I start a brand new text frame and I click to start it and I scroll through, there should be one under T for today. And there it is. And so now my text will go along that frame and you can save it and use it kind of anytime you want. And so that is all that I can tell you about using the text along a path tool.